The year was 2002. A blanket of unease began to settle over St. Louis, Missouri. Whispers of missing women filled the air. Fear seeped into the heart of the city, turning neighbor against neighbor. This was a time when darkness seemed to lurk just around the corner, a time when evil wore a human face. St. Louis, a city known for its iconic arch and rich history, found itself grappling with a terrifying reality. A predator was stalking its streets. He moved silently, choosing his victims with chilling precision. Little did anyone know a monster lived among them. Life in the city's quiet suburbs continued, oblivious to the horror unfolding in the shadows. Families went about their daily routines. Children played in parks. But the illusion of normalcy was about to shatter. The truth, when it emerged, would send shockwaves through the community and beyond. Maury Travis. The name meant nothing to most. He was an unassuming figure, blending into the background of daily life. He lived in a modest home on a quiet street. Neighbors knew him as quiet, almost reclusive. Some recalled seeing him tinker in his garage, a seemingly harmless pastime. Travis worked as a hotel auditor, a job that demanded precision and attention to detail. He was meticulous in his work, organized to a fault. His colleagues found him unremarkable, a man who seemed content to fade into the tapestry of everyday life. But beneath the surface of normalcy lurked a sinister secret. Travis harbored a darkness so profound it defied comprehension. He was a man of contradictions, a meticulous worker who meticulously planned and executed horrific acts of violence. He was a phantom, moving unseen and undetected, leaving a trail of pain and despair in his wake. Maury Travis preyed on the vulnerable. His victims, mostly women living on the margins of society, became his prey. He would lure them with promises of drugs or money, exploiting their desperation. These women, often overlooked and forgotten, became trapped in his web of evil. His methods were calculated and cruel. He would take his victims to his home, a place that should have been a sanctuary but had been transformed into a chamber of horrors. There in the darkness he indulged his darkest fantasies. He would subject them to unimaginable torture, meticulously recording his acts on videotape. The details of his crimes, later revealed in court documents and news reports, were chilling. He used ropes, chains, and other instruments of torture to inflict pain and suffering on his victims. His actions were not merely about taking a life, but about exerting power and control over his victims in their final moments. The brutality of his crimes shook even the most seasoned investigators to their core. Section 4 cameras of horror documenting the depravity. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Maury Travis's crimes was his need to document them. He meticulously set up cameras in his basement, transforming the space into a macabre stage for his horrific performances. The whirring of the cameras became the soundtrack to his victims' nightmares, capturing their every scream, every tear, every plea for mercy. The tapes, later recovered by police, revealed the depths of his depravity. They showed the progression of his crimes from the initial abduction to the prolonged torture and eventual murder of his victims. The images on those tapes were not merely records of crimes, but trophies, tangible proof of his power and control. For Travis, the cameras served a dual purpose. They allowed him to relive his crimes, to derive pleasure from the suffering he inflicted. But they also served as a twisted form of self-aggrandizement, a way to document his work and ensure that his legacy of terror would live on. The tapes were a window into the mind of a monster, a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary individuals. Section 5, the map, A Killer's Undoing. As the body count rose, so did the pressure on law enforcement. Detectives worked tirelessly, following every lead, every whisper, every hunch. The city held its breath, waiting for a break in the case. The breakthrough, when it came, would come from a most unexpected source, the killer himself. Travis, in a move that can only be described as arrogance or perhaps a desperate need for recognition, sent a hand-drawn map to a local newspaper. This map, crudely drawn but chillingly accurate, marked the location of one of his victims' bodies. It was a taunt, a challenge to the authorities. This macabre communication, a chilling blend of pride and provocation, would prove to be his downfall. The map, along with other clues, led police to Travis's doorstep. Technology, in the form of DNA evidence and cell phone records, further solidified their suspicions. The net was closing in, the walls of justice were closing in on Maury Travis.